Yeah, you'll from a performance aspect, you will be better if you are hydrated and have certain nutrients in your body. So, for example, when you've been asleep, let's say you've been asleep for 8 hours, you've essentially been fasting. So your body's in a catabolic state, right? It's in a state of going, cortisol's high. I need certain nutrients in order to bring that down and put me back into an anabolic state. So amino acids are going to do that, right? So having something that's either eggs or cheese or milk, or whatever it is, any kind of animal protein is going to be ideal. And then having some simple sugars like OJ is awesome because it's got potassium, magnesium, and then putting heaps of salt in that. So salt will obviously decrease your adrenaline as well, and kind of make you feel fairly normalized for your workout session. And I think as you, especially when you're doing big sessions like squats and stuff like that, you're going to be using up a lot of glycogen within the muscles. So you want to make sure you've got some there to kind of utilize to make sure your performance is on point. You're extracting those performances, but also like the moment that you start, you're getting into your working sets, you've done your warm up, you're doing your working sets. Like the way obviously we program within Recomposer, especially if you've gone through one phase at least, and you push up, you hit some PBs and your numbers going up, you're starting to really get into that range of where each set is kind of made up of a bunch of what we call effective reps. So for example, say if you were doing 50 reps on the leg press, okay? I was a big proponent of doing the 50 rep leg press. They're a bit of a novelty thing. They stimulate a lot of metabolic stress. I'm not such a huge fan of them anymore because of two reasons. One of them, they're very, very taxing. They generate a huge muscle pump, but they're very, very taxing, and it does limit your ability to do the rest of your training session optimally. And number two is, if you can do 50 reps on something, generally the first 25 to 30 reps are going to be outside of what we would consider relative intensity. So it's kind of like those first 25 to 30 reps, and this, I've changed my opinion a lot on this over the years. The more and more sort of data I've seen, but really those first 25 to 30 reps are kind of a bit of a waste of time. And it's only after that point that all of a sudden you get this massive lag and so much stimulus enough. Then all the reps after that are very effective because they're closer to failure, getting closer to failure. But up to that point, I don't really do much. You're better off just doing up to like a 20 rep range where pretty much for your first couple of reps, you're pretty much within that effective rep zone, and that whole set is going to be effective. You're also doing less than half the amount of reps. I'm just using leg press as an example, but you're doing half the amount of reps. So therefore, you're not as fatigued at the end of that. You're going to be able to do the rest of your sets and all the other exercises that come after that. So in terms of that, when you are lifting heavy and following our program, if you don't have any nutrients kind of running through your bloodstream, especially amino acids, in particular things like leucine and isoleucine and valine, which is your branch chain amino acids, you'll see a lot of like supplement stores, make sure you've always got your branch chain amino acids that you drink during your workout. You see the bodybuilders in the gym sipping some green drink or red drink or something like that, and it's usually red chains and that sort of. I think they're a giant fucking waste of money for the most part, just on their own, because if you have a meal beforehand, like for me, like I'll have like 4 eggs, like 30 grams of cheese and a cup of milk with my coffee and stuff. Like I'm getting like 40 grams of protein just in that meal alone. So that's going to be more than enough protein to get me through that workout. But when I'm lifting really, really heavy, I'm breaking down that muscle tissue. I've got that amino acid while it's still being kind of digested. It's still in the bloodstream. So as soon as I'm breaking down that muscle, it's starting to recover straight away. If you don't have anything like at all, like you go in and you start lifting heavy weights fasted, you're probably breaking down muscle tissue at a rate faster than it can kind of recover from. Now, how could you actually measure this? Well, you can't. No, they never do that if you've got, and how these studies are done in a lab, you're lifting in fasted state, they measure your blood, they measure it afterwards, they see the cortisol raise, they see the adrenaline, they see how much amino acids in your blood, and then they can assess from that how much of the workout was breaking down muscle tissue and how much can you actually recover from while you're in a fasted state. And when you look at a lot of those studies, they're just like, it's always lower. The people that were always in a fed state with a relative amount of protein is always going to have, you know, at the end of a 12-week study, those people are always going to put on more lean muscle mass because of, you know, those kind of situations. Now, to put it in context, in the big scheme of things, hitting your macros by the end of the day consistently every day is by far the most important. I think I did crack on about this in module 3 in one of those videos. But it's like, you know, by the time you wake up and go to bed, you've got to hit, you know, 120 grams of protein or whatever it is. Just make sure you hit that, because that is going to be the ultimate determiner. And 100% that is the case. However, you want to be making sure that you're getting as much as you can, even kind of protein feedings between 3 to 7 meals throughout the day, and generally before you work out, in order to keep yourself in anabolic state so you are actually recovering from that workout that you're doing. So your recovery will be impacted if you're going into it in a fasted state. And the reality is, from a performance perspective, like you're not going to make the progress that you want, because if you're dehydrated, you know, you don't have enough aminos run through your blood, you don't have enough just carbohydrate there to be able to, you know, especially if you're doing big movements, to be able to get. I think it's just something that, to use an analogy, it's kind of like stepping over $100 bills to pick up 50-cent coins, sort of thing. Probably just doing yourself a bit of a disservice.